Oh, welcome back to the Demguyspodcast. I'm muheez. This is Raheem. Raheem, how you doing, bro?
I'm good, thank you. I'm very good. I feel like you
That's
don't
nice.
even know our own intro, bro.
I don't. That's what I was literally trying to think. I was trying to think what do you even say, but you know what? Man, just freestyled it. You know, it's what it is. But but yeah, we got two guests today. We got Sabrina and Inzinga. How you doing?
Yeah, I'm doing all right. I'm Sabrina.
Yeah,
I got two A stars and two A stars and an A, and I'm going to the London School of Economics, study law.
congratulations.
Hi, my
What about
name's
you,
In-
Inzinga?
Hi, my name's Inzinga, and I got two A stars and an A also, and I'm going to the University of Warwick to study international business with Spanish.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
congratulations. So, if you haven't gone by the vibe of today's episode, we're talking about A-level results and a bit of GCSE results and where do you go from here, or if you're looking for advice and stuff to move on from this, we're going to talk about it. So, yeah, um, I think I'll start with the question of how do you think A-levels went in general? Like, maybe starting like a personal like opinion, how did you feel like it went for you?
Go Sabrina, then Inzinga, then muheez. You can round it off.
Yeah.
I think the whole process was relatively easy, to be honest. I was someone that really liked lockdown and kind of thrived in that. I created my own routine. I was up early. I was just doing really well and had so much free time, which I used productively. And then when it came to the actual exams, I feel like our school was obviously really, really nice, allowing for resits if you didn't feel like it went well and stuff like that. So you could have a second chance basically, or a third chance. And some classes did that, whereas obviously I didn't have to reset anything. So overall, it was just a really easy process. And I think that was kind of reflected by the night before results day. I wasn't as stressed. GCSE results day was a lot worse. So yeah, I feel like it was a lot easier for us, but that depends on the school, I think. And the fact
Yeah.
that we didn't miss a single day of learning, like
Because I would have said
we were online, that helped a lot.
that because obviously if you speak to Sabrina like throughout lockdown, like I feel like obviously her going to private school, me going to a like a public school, like you can clearly see differences in between like the support I was given. So so for example, like I think with you guys, you started the online lessons as soon as we got into lockdown, isn't it?
Yeah, literally the next day.
Yeah, soon
Form
as,
time, everything.
even during the
Yeah.
first lockdown, like after Easter, it was just really seamless.
Yeah, we even had
So,
to
Yeah,
go to form an afternoon registration. It was literally like a full day.
crazy.
yeah.
Literally when we did it, like we didn't do lessons for about I want to say up to 2 3 weeks. Then when we did it, it was only for like maths. I think I did it for. I like it was like the teachers kind of had a choice whether to or not, and they just give you like homework. Maths were okay though, but we weren't really doing the work. And with the online lessons for first lockdown only lasted for a month. They went on like a holiday from like just before like I want to say just before August, so we're just doing nothing for the whole time. And personally, I think it did
That's
affect.
not
I
good.
think it affected me. Like I definitely feel like I'm much stupider now compared to what I used to be, at least in GCSE terms. Like I'm 100% confident that I'm not as smart as I used to be. But I'd say that I would definitely like what I wanted to get into was the fact that the split in between private school grades and the public school grades, how do you feel about how maybe for example your own peers, how do you feel like they did, and including yourself? Maybe you want to start with Zinga this time.
I think like the higher, because like in public schools, I think it's around like 26% like got A's and A stars, and then like I think it was around 60% that got like in private schools I got A's and A stars. So like it's a massive difference. And I
Yeah,
think that's like it's due to two things. Number one, like private students are more wealthy in general, and they come
mm,
from like more stable backgrounds. So like because so much of our learning was like online, like they maybe in general had more access to like better technology, like more reliable Wi-Fi, like they probably had maybe more supportive parents, etc., etc. Obviously, like I know some of my friends had access to like private tutors as well, like on Zoom and stuff, even
yeah,
during lockdown. And so I think lockdown and on homeschooling has really widened the gap, because obviously people have got more resources than others. But like, I think some people have been saying, I don't know if I necessarily agree, but some people who are a bit more skeptical would say that like private school grade inflation's higher because parents are paying fees, like they're paying for results. And so like it's in private schools' interest more so than state schools to make sure that students have the highest grades, because obviously they need parents to come back and
Do you
pay
agree with
more.
that?
I personally don't, to be honest. I mean, I think I can't speak for all schools, but I don't think that like teachers in most private schools would do that, to be honest, because I think that, you know, obviously like the pandemics obviously changed a lot of things, but you know, in general, even before the pandemic, like for so many like socio-economic reasons, like private school students always did better than
Yeah.
um state schools. And some people, you could argue like it's just proportional, like because like there was already that inequality before the pandemic, it's just increased. I'm not saying it's right. I think that like most people got the grades they deserved. But you know, I still think that, or because it's what normally happens, it's not necessarily right that, you know, private school students are doing so much better than state schools. Like it shouldn't be, like I get that there's a difference in quality, but it shouldn't be that big of a difference.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I feel personally, I do feel like, because at the end of the day, you can't compare the amount you pay for school compared to like a poor person does, because it's through their taxes. Do you know what I mean? But you're directly paying them money. You're paying a large sum, whether it's you pay for you get a scholarship or whatever. But there's money going to the thingy. So at the end of the day, as you paying for, let's say, this service, you want to make sure that you're getting the highest, you're getting the best out of it, or you're trying to receive the best outcome. So it's like, if they like, this is the best year for private schools, because their aim in January is to, like, you take a school to private, like, why would you take a kid over to a private school instead of a public school, in order to get them higher grades, or to give them better quality of education, or to get them into a bigger networking scheme. But if you're even in a situation where you're able to like control your grades, or like even have a better, like, I won't say manipulate, but if you have a better ability to alter the grades to benefit your buyers, or like your clients, like the parents, I feel like then like that's where like grades could have been manipulated, increased. Because, like, for example, Sabrina said you guys were given an opportunity to like even have resits, but public schools weren't able to have resits.
Yeah, but I think that kind of touches on what you guys have already said, though, about private schools ultimately being a business, and the service that they do provide is supposed to be higher grades, and this was the chance to kind of show that service. It was basically a perfect opportunity. But another thing that Inzinga touched upon about there being parental pressure, I think was definitely a key thing that played a part. There was that pressure from parents.
I did hear, to be fair, about certain students' parents, you know, sending emails and stuff. So it's not like, I'm not gonna lie and say lobbying doesn't happen, because that's not true. It does. But I mean, I don't want to say with confidence that like, oh, okay, so most private students got the grades they got because of their parents.
It definitely happened behind doors. It definitely happened behind doors, but there was just that pressure there, because obviously teachers and parents are very close, and parents have direct access to teachers, like it's kind of almost immediate email back and stuff like that. So like Inzinga said, there was a bit of lobbying by parents to have better grades and more information and more exam tips and what's going to be on the papers and things like that.
I'm not mad at it though, I can't lie, because at the end of the day, you do pay for it. Do you know what I mean? Like, as I said this in the last one, you do pay for it. If I took my kid to private school and I'm paying for it, I want to make sure I'm getting the best service. I can't be taking it there, especially when I think about it from like their perspective. If I'm paying the school and they now have a chance to make sure my child even gets higher grades, even grades potentially that they may have not gotten through their own intellect, then why not do still? Like, I pay you, and it's only going to be better if like.
That's true, yeah, but in the long run, it's just not a good thing because I mean,
yeah, but obviously
just,
it doesn't mean it's a good thing. That's business for you. Business is like corrupt. You get me?
Yeah,
life isn't always
I
fair.
agree.
Life is not always
not.
fair.
You
But I'm
guys have
content.
bad vibes. Yeah, it's not
Exactly.
always fair, but when you think about it, especially with this year and next year being university places being so competitive, and this being the chance for students from low socioeconomic backgrounds to get a place at a good university and finally get a good career afterwards and move themselves out of the lower class to middle class, it's kind of taken away the opportunity from them when
it's definitely a bad thing. Yeah, it's definitely a bad thing in
it's a
general.
bad thing. It's a bad, like, for example, like say from my
but
own
it's a business model.
Yeah, most def.
It's a business.
Most def. Like I'd say from my own personal experience, like I got A star BB in my exams. Personally, I was all right with my grades. The only thing I would have preferred is that if I got A in maths, the rest of my grades, I was happy with them. But I know, like, from me and a lot of my friends and people that I've known and went to my college as well, a lot of people didn't get the grades they wanted or the grades that they felt like they deserved. And especially, like, because obviously I know some people that hadn't put the work in and maybe they would have got that grade, but they're just telling themselves that because to like reassure themselves that it wasn't their fault. But then I know people that did exceedingly well, but they were getting like maybe 1 or 2 grades lower. And like when you appeal it, it's like you appeal it. It's not going to be in time for you to get into.
You know, one thing that I think we're missing out is the
Mm.
fact that I do think private school kids worked harder genuinely. Like
No, most def.
we
Because
didn't
I feel
miss a
like you guys
lesson.
had more. You had more
We got
resources
taught
and
the
you
full
started
course.
on it.
Yeah,
That's what I'm
like
saying.
because we were on it from day one, we were taught the full course. We had exams,
Most definitely.
like, ongoing.
Okay, can I just jump in there? I think Sabrina, I wouldn't word it like that. Like private school kids worked harder. No, I wouldn't say that. I would say private school kids
You
were
better
still in
resource the
school,
training.
basically.
Yes.
Like
But
even though you
also
were in your bedroom,
there is a culture
you were
of
at
private
school.
schools though. There is a culture of private schools where like
I know
second best just isn't good enough. Do you know what I mean? So it's more of a like for example, I go to a private school and sometimes I'll be talking about just the amount of work I get set in a week or something like that and be like, oh, I've not done any revision. I've just been doing this work, and then I'll be telling one of my friends from a public school about it, and that's like 3 times the amount of stuff they've done in the month. Do you know what I mean? That I've just done in the week.
Yeah.
And like teachers were actually
I know
at me over lockdown for homework.
No, we got homework every lesson. Like sometimes you were set twice, 2 pieces of homework every week per subject. Remember? Like,
and like
I remember scrolling through Teams and it was like, oh my god, like there was so much homework at one point, like it was crazy.
Yeah.
So yeah, we did work harder, but
exactly.
like again, it's because like the teachers believed in us. And also because the teachers wanted to push us. Like if you don't have people who want to push you, like again, you were saying that the culture's different. I agree with you. Like the culture is different in private schools because it's not only that because again the mindset, like what putting in the work, wanting to succeed, but it's kind of like also like herd mentality. Like if you see people succeeding and wanting to do well in proximity to you, you want to do well too. And a lot of people, like it depends on your personality, how competitive you are, like how self-driven you are, and some people need more of a push than others. So I think also like no, but I think also like the point I was trying to make was that like I like even during lockdown, like I felt like I was still in school, like because we worked on Teams, you didn't work on Zoom, and so like your teachers would message you personally, like if you weren't in the class, if your homework was late, like you literally like it was like you were still at school, just that you weren't, and so because the environment hadn't changed that much for us, we there wasn't much of a we didn't have to adapt that much. So I think, and some people don't deal with change as much as others, as well as other factors. So like, I don't want to just say like, oh, people, like I get that like people do work hard. You could say people do work hard in private schools, but then it's kind of like you got to look at the reasons behind that, because it's not always about being self-motivated. It's more about your environment and if you're a product of that or not.
Yeah, I agree with that.
I'd say like for us, like for me personally, education was better when we were in second lockdown, but that was solely because like I feel like schools weren't, I don't know if it wasn't they weren't full enough or they weren't when lockdown first happened, it's like they weren't prepared for it. They had no idea what they wanted to do. But in second lockdown, it was much better. Like that was, I felt more involved, and I felt like I was in school. But I think the first lockdown gap, and obviously duration of it, and the lack of working probably just didn't, it affected a lot of people in the long run, including myself. Like, I was happy with my grades. I think maybe if one grade could have been a bit higher, but even that, there were still things where it's not like, oh, I was done dirty, like due to circumstances that happened, it happened, and I'm not annoyed at that. But what I wanted to say is that I know a lot of people that went to public schools that did well, but weren't able to get into the firm unis. And I realized that's because obviously the grades are higher now. Like, obviously the inflation's crazy. Like, I think it said like about, as Inzinga said before, 60% of private schools got A to A star grades, and only like 28% got A's to A stars, which is a grave difference. And obviously it means that like maybe private school kids that may have not done as well have done really well, because if you compare it to 2019, I think it was only like 38%, it said, that of private school kids that got A to A star, and it was like maybe just a bit lower for like, let's say like 20% for a public school. So the difference is crazy. So as in, it means that like private school kids that may have not done as well are doing better now. So it means that places are more competitive for private school and for public school kids. So let's say for example, Sabrina said she's going to LSE. Like, if a student in public school got A star, A, just like Sabrina, and Sabrina's also got her grades, I feel like Sabrina's more likely to get in because of
not just because of like my grades and stuff, but obviously like your whole application.
Where you come from, you get me?
Including like the personal statement and the reference by the teacher, which if you're at a massive academy or a massive college, obviously a teacher doesn't know you well enough one-to-one like that to be able to write a really good reference to you on your personal statement, or to help you with your actual personal statement and reread it for you. Whereas, for example, obviously I got rejected by Oxford after my interview, and one of my teachers who helped me has now retired and emailed me privately this month to say, do you want to help you rewrite your personal statement for Cambridge, to give me another shot of reapplying. That's that kind of level of support, intimacy, one-to-one with teachers that I don't think you'd get at a state school. And that obviously helps when it comes to grades, because with marking, there is a level of subjectivity. And I think with private schools, because obviously students and teachers know one another very, very, very well. Like, I'm in a class of 3 for economics, me included, so it's just 2 other boys. The teachers obviously know me very, very well. And I feel like that kind of did have a little bit of a role in when it came to marking, whereas I think with state schools it was quite different, especially like how big it is and stuff like that. But
I have a teacher at school where basically she always has to have her homework in first thing in the morning, and some days I'll be late for school, right? So I'm coming to school late and she's waiting for me in the front office, like,
really?
Where's your homework?
Wow.
Doesn't even ever take my call off, man. Like,
but
it's good.
It's like like 3 or different.
Yeah, you know that phrase, minimum wage, minimum effort. I feel like some state school teachers kind of have that attitude, which is why, although it's down to the students to some extent, a lot of it was actually down to the actual school and to teachers, whether they would be bothered to even host the class for you guys when they didn't have to, or whether they'd be able to do after school support or message you privately and make sure you're on top of your work. Because kind of they just didn't care. They're not getting paid enough, and that's a well-known fact that state school teachers just aren't paid enough. So there was that type of attitude. I
would say that to some extent, because like I would say that I feel like public school teachers have probably more work of a workload, because you said you've got 3 black people in your class, whereas like a public school teacher is probably teaching 3 sets of 30 kids in a week or something like that. You get me? So it's like, it's a crazy amount. And I think as well, like as you said about with the personal relationships, like compared to high school, I don't think I had a corporate relationship with teachers, but they weren't as like, I don't know, like, I'd say in high school it was like to the extent almost like a parental type of relationship, or like a guardian.
That's what it's like at college now. It was literally like high school, but even more intimate.
No, because literally, like the teachers, amazing. They're actually like, some of them are like parents, and like for example, like I've known some of my teachers like since year 7, who taught me all the way through, because through the high school and the sixth form, and it's just kind of like, because they know you so well. I think the biggest class I had in sixth form was 10, and that was business, because business was quite popular. Like, that's the most people I've ever had in the class throughout the whole of college. So it's kind of like, because so they have time. It's that issue of time and, like, you know, and space. Like, they have more time and space for each individual student, so they get to know you more. Because I think also, like, when teachers are doing the predicted grades and it is subjective, like, it's harder to build a bigger picture of individual students if the class is like 30, 40 kids, you know what I mean? Like, if you know someone more well, like, you know, like, how much effort they put in or don't put in, maybe, like, and like their performance, like, throughout the 2 years or longer.
Can I just add something?
Like, you're more confident, like, to give them a higher grade.
You know the thing about predicted grades, right? One of my teachers actually wanted to predict me a B, and obviously I couldn't apply to any of the universities that I wanted to apply to if I was going to get a B, like what law school was going to get into. But then I went to one of my other teachers who was deputy head of, like, the sixth form, and I was like, please, I need an A. And I got an A predicted. Obviously I ended up with an A, but, like, if there wasn't that good connection between me and her being my tutor and knowing me, she wouldn't have changed that. And I know a lot of students, like, won't get their predicted grades or the predicted grades that they need to even have a chance of applying at top unis. Like, it's so frustrating. But I
know it was harder for public, like, for ours, like, personally, for me, my predicted were fine for I wanted to apply. But I had a lot of friends that were, like, struggling, like, they were down
they
bad,
just
like,
don't give
literally.
it to them, which
They know who they are.
Have a chance.
Yeah, like, literally, they were, like, so almost depressed at a point just because they predicted their final grade.
Could you not ask to change your grades?
No. The thing is,
do it though. Like, I saw so many TikToks.
No, you could though, but it's not like you could ask for, like, some people did, but it's like, for example, maybe some teachers are a bit stricter than others, or maybe you weren't as, I don't know, some people weren't as on it, and maybe the teacher didn't believe that you could. But I know people that got their grades higher. No, most definitely. But I think that I feel like for people that I knew, majority of them got their grades increased. But, like, for example, they're basing it off all the grades that they show in your first year, and due to their fault as well. Like, some people trying to get into, like, Oxford or something, but they were messing about in first year. So it's like, you know what I mean? So they weren't able to. So it's like an advice, even, like, younger kids, especially in the world we're in right now, just take it seriously from first year, because a lot of people are regretting the messing about or chilling around in first year. Because the thing is that you can't even blame the teachers at a certain point, because they're predicting your grades based on the information they have. But if the information is not substantial enough to give you the grade you want, you can't ask for stars.
I kind of have a bit of a problem with that, though, because say a teacher wants to predict me a B, which she did, and I need an A to even apply to these universities.
No, but that's different.
I just couldn't see the issue. Like, why can't you just give me that grade to at least give me the chance of applying to top unis? Because if I get an offer, it's me that's going to have to get the grade. But the fact is,
I feel like B to A is not bad, though. I feel like if I'm talking about, let's say, for example, a C to A.
But the thing is, if she wanted to predict me a C and I went to that same teacher and I said, I'm applying to Oxford, I need to be predicted 3 A's, I would have got predicted 3 A's. Like, it wouldn't have been that struggle there.
I feel like it would have been way harder. That would have been way harder.
No, I think that one is a bit of a stretch. From a C to an A.
And especially, like, for example, like, we have like a
someone did get a C to an A.
Literally, yeah. If you apply to Oxford,
Sabrina, remember?
Yeah, I know.
Do you know what I'm talking? Yeah. C to an A. 3 A's.
And you know this thing,
way, ever.
And you know this thing with, like, students getting really, really high results. There were students that I know that were getting A's when they were actually getting C's, and they were in my class, and I was so shocked. I literally appealed my A, because I got an A in economics. I had to appeal it because there were people in my class that were getting a C when I was on an A in November. I was like, how did you guys move up so much?
And this is why, like,
it wasn't deserved. It definitely wasn't deserved.
You know, when people say, like, hard work, and, like, I'm going to be honest with you, like, a lot of people in our year, I don't think were on it in first year at all.
Way.
They were not. Like, where was your homework? Like, homeworks are never handed in. Like, some people, I know some, like, there were few people who just didn't bother to turn up to lessons and stuff like that. Like, some people were not on it, definitely, during the first year. And, like, they didn't have any problems with their UPass application. Let's be honest.
Can I be honest about something, right? So for history, right, I wasn't actually doing well, if I'm being honest right now. I would have probably got a B. But the thing is, the teacher hinted at the question so much that I then wrote the answer to the questions that he was hinting at. I sent it him on Teams, and he said to me he would be happy if we got this in an essay. The next week, or like 2 weeks later, I memorized it, came to the essay question. There was a few questions. I chose that one. I wrote the exact essay and I came out of an A-star. Like, that just wasn't going to happen in the real thing.
What the hell?
That
really
happened in the real thing.
This is so generous.
No, I'm glad you're honest. I'm glad you're honest about that, but it happens.
It's about the connection with the teacher, because that same teacher gave me his personal email on results day because he wanted to keep in contact if I needed a reference for the future, or like if I needed help or advice or something. But it's just things like that, you know, it really, really wasn't fair when I think about it. And yes, hard work does like count, but this year we were let off a lot.
Our last term at our school was basically like an exam factory. We had exams every week for like 7 weeks.
Were redoing.
You had exams every single week, like 3. I remember it was either 3 or 2 a week, like in every subject. And actually, they gave you 2 sets. So over the 7 weeks, you did 2 sets in your 3 subjects. Yeah. And they picked the top. And so obviously, what they did is they picked the top grades from the best set, and that's what they submitted as evidence. Like, they literally just drilled. We just did exam.
So you see, that's how they did it, like legally. Then they make so much sense to you. Like, for example, the way they did it for us is that throughout our 2 years, or how the abridged years we were in college for, throughout those years, they picked like 6 or 7 exams, and including the last exam we did, the last like main exam we did, they used that and they submitted that as our evidence for our grades. But I guess with you guys, the way they help to manufacture your grades is by making you do a lot of grades, and they just pick the best grades out of your grades.
But the thing is, if out of those tests that you didn't do well, the whole class would just resit. Like, there were literally business and psychology classes that were resitting again. And the thing is, wait, Sabrina, can I say one more thing? We didn't finish school until mid-June. So like exams could have still gone on until then, because evidence didn't get submitted until the 18th. Like, I was still in school on June 11th, 12th.
Yeah, June 11th was the last day.
We finished at 14th. We finished 14th of May. Like, I was so annoyed they finished so early.
But like,
we still didn't exact
up until that point, there was still evidence for you to submit. Like, we were still in school, like just chilling.
So now you can now start to understand how like they could potentially like manipulate the grades in order to.
Yeah, you guys finished in May. Like, that was just it.
We did our final grade. It was over. You could like, they gave you an opportunity to like appeal and like talk about, you know, potential like reasons why you could have got lower grades. So if you had like maybe like you had depression, or maybe you had bereavement during quarantine or something, or just any hindrances to your grade that could have potentially occurred. But
there's definitely manipulation.
No, most stuff, like, I don't know. Like, it's just it's like, the thing is that
it's really sad though.
I understand it, but it's sad, isn't it? But it's like,
like, if she was on the other foot, I'd be so vexed right now. Like, if I'd missed,
I would be so angry as well.
Yeah, if I missed my place LSE and there was you guys telling me this, I'd be literally so angry. Like, no way that's happening.
Sabrina, did you look at because they obviously you get told all the evidence they used before they submit? Did you all get told your evidence they were using, right? Yeah. So what I was really confused about is that for all the subjects in our school, they only used evidence from the last term. The tests we did on the last term was the only evidence they used in every single subject in the sixth form. Because it's not that we worked hard. Because I'm someone who's always been on it from day one. I mean, I'm not lying here, but I'm telling you now, there were a lot of people in the sixth form who were not getting the grades even last September, and so they couldn't use the data from year 12 even. Like, that's why they were so focused on last term, like getting so many papers out, because like people didn't have the grades.
And right, and one of my papers, right, not even one, it was all 6 of my papers, right, for politics. It's supposed to be 1 hour 45 minutes. We did 6 of those tests, right? 50 minutes each, and it was 1 30-mark question, and then the teacher just built it into a paper. Like, we didn't sit a full paper, we sat 1 30-mark question in an hour, and that was just it. And the thing is, we get given a sheet of like the topic, so it was just so easy.
Right, Sabrina, you got so much more help than me.
Yeah,
What is this?
my teachers were a lot more friendly, but that's because I had pushy people in my classroom that kind of were just like to the teachers, help, help, help. But the thing is, if this is a private school in Manchester, which isn't even a great city, I wonder what schools like Harrow or Eton were doing.
They would have just
No,
handed in
because
the exam.
Sabrina, even private schools in Manchester, because even our one isn't one of the best. Like,
That's
we're
what I'm
talking the top
saying.
ones,
That's
not
what I'm
naming
saying.
names, but we
So
all know who they
those.
are. And they're the real exam factories as well. Like, ours is a bit lax when it comes to grades, but not this
If
year.
you think
But
about it,
if you're talking about,
if you think
Yes,
about it,
you
say
guys heard of Brampton Manor? I think that's what it's called. But
yeah, they did better than Eton.
if you're on Twitter, every year they come
work
and harass the timeline with their results.
I have so many of them on LinkedIn. Bless them. They work really hard.
Only, I swear.
Nah.
Yeah.
Hearing this is actually so crazy though, because like for example, like I was so with ours, they use some of our grades from first year, like from the time where we're just like maybe when you just get onto the phase where you're like a bit struggling with it, I just started to like boost, like started to get a bit higher. But like these are like they're using grades that like may have never been representative of where we are at
But the thing is, your school gets money from the government. Like they don't need good grades. You guys could all get C's, and it just affects them. Whereas like our school,
that's what I'll say. Yeah,
it's like
you guys, you need it. It's like
because they've got to put it on the website. Like
that's what I'm saying.
If you didn't do well, then there just wouldn't be parents coming, because like one of the things parents will check is what grades is the school getting, what university is the school getting. Say someone had got into Cambridge or something and they need 3 A's. There is no way the school is not going to make sure they don't get 3 A's so that they can put on their website one of our students went to Cambridge for medicine, something like that.
Because at the end of the day, as we said, it's a business. A business is not going to tell you, they're not going to show how dead their products are.
At the end of my first year now, they did do a little bit of like a culling almost. Like certain people who weren't getting the grades that just weren't good enough in my school's eyes, they were kind of like meetings with them. Even people who had to do resets, meetings straight away, and it was what's called a few people even got asked to leave, to be honest, because they don't really expel people.
That's crazy.
They were asked to leave and have to go find another school.
It's a business. You're not trying to let people, because deep it, like let's say if the grades were realistic, I would say they'd probably be a bit lower than what the split was. But I'd say that like if someone's looking at that as like someone who wants to go into a private school or wants to take their kids into a private school, I'm not trying to see my kids get grades that are that close to public school. If not, they might as well go to public school. I'm saving thousands of pounds. Do you get me? Like I should have that premium like quality of education for my child, or there should be a reason why I'm paying so and so amount. So like it's as I said, it's understandable, but like it's crazy. It's crazy the way the world works.
It's sad. But like this year, I think more than ever has shown that there is very clearly a divide. Like one does provide better education and more opportunities and resources.
Yeah. But you know what I'll say? You know what I'll say though? I reckon in Raheem's year, because Raheem, hopefully you guys should be sitting your exam, and I can imagine the split. I reckon because if you see the difference between 2019, which was the last SAT exam, compared to 2020 and 2019, it's a grave difference. I think it was like from 20% to almost like 60% now. So I reckon
the divide will still be there. Like Inzinga said,
no, don't get me wrong. No, the divide won't. I'm not gonna say the divide will go. The divide was there before even like Corona was a thing. I'm saying there's like I feel like grades will slip down for private school kids unless they still find a way to then help boost their grades. But I can imagine there'll be a significant drop.
I can imagine this second year, because of the way our first year was. Like, for example, my school handled we had several lockdowns because it's a small year group as well, so they didn't really mind. It was basically like one person's got corona, cool, the whole year group is off for 2 weeks, and it was like all right, we didn't even miss a beat. It was like the next day you need to be on your team's account. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
At regular timetable time. But so now with the level of commitment that we got from that first year, I can imagine like second year being all intensive all the time. So I don't know. I feel like my school will prepare us very well for this. Well, I hope so anyway.
It is, yeah. But the thing is, there's so many like social mobility things out there to help though, because things like this are real. And one of the things is, it's called the Black Excellence Network. If there's like any year 13s watching, you can sign up to that. I'm one of the mentors. Like I help a year 13 student right now. I think she goes to Zavarian actually, and just provide them with like resources and help, because this type of divide and this type of like extra level of support we get, other students definitely don't. So try and find an organization, maybe if you're watching and you're kind of like worried for next year, that does provide extra support, and there's like a bit of mentoring maybe or something like that. It's kind of
the
help.
Sutton Trust as well. The Sutton Trust, like if you get onto their program, it helps you access like the top universities and Russell groups in the country, and like they can even lower the entry requirements for your degree as well if you get onto there.
Yeah, you know what? I was wondering if, to wrap up, you guys could actually give like some advice to me and obviously all the other people going into year 13 for like obviously just a bit of guidance for next year. It's a big year, obviously.
Okay, I don't mind starting.
For
you, I think you need to be more ambitious and be like, I really want to get into Imperial, because you don't want to end up at a dead uni when like you're still going to be paying the same price as someone that's going to a top 10 uni. Like you're paying the same money, so you want to get your money's worth. Like each university isn't the same. It's not like, oh, it's the same degree. It really isn't. You get different opportunities, different teachers. Like I mean, at my uni, I'm going to be learning from teachers that have wrote books. So it's like I'm going to have the actual professor there in my class. So the level of education is different. So make sure you get into at least a Russell group, but aim as high as you possibly can, because you're the one who's going to be paying for it. For everyone else in general, I'd say try to find some programs like Pathways to Law, like Sutton Trust, like Black Excellence Network, like LinkedIn. Get on there. And there's so many other programs on there that you can find. Why are you smiling?
Something just made me laugh.
There's so many programs you can find on there. Also, my LinkedIn is Sabrina Daniel, and I literally made a post yesterday about like revision guides and stuff like that for law. That's that's available. So you can add me on LinkedIn. I don't mind reading people's personal statements, stuff like that. I'm already doing it for 3 students and then editing it and giving it back to them.
But personal statements, get on that rapid, especially for public school kids.
Like, try and find a year 13. Try and find a year 13 you can reach out to that can like reread your personal statement and edit it for you, because it is very important. Because kind of everybody has the grades when it comes to applying for uni. But yeah, what about you, Inzinga?
I would say when looking at universities, look at don't be okay. If try and like go for a top uni if you can, like in one of the Russell groups. However, at the end of the day, I think what's more important is how good your university is for the industry you want to go in. So like, for example, like, you know, like I was looking at unis that had better, like they were really good for law, but they weren't that known for business, and I want to really go into consulting. So like, make sure that like, don't just look at the prestige of a uni, but also how, like, what that reputation of the uni is in the industry you want to go into. That's really important. Look at like the employability as well, like, and what employers look for, because at the end of the day, like, you're going to need to get a job, so you need to think long term as well. Also, I think like just trying to get work experience, like even like there's so many virtual work experience happening right now for free. So like building that experience will look really good in a year or 2 time when you're at, because at the end of the day, if you're going into year 13, it's, you've got a year until you'll be thinking about like spring weeks and stuff. So the time goes really fast. So trying to like build up your CV and get an experience like from anywhere. And your personal statement's really important. So make sure like that you stand out on that, because it's not just about the grades. It's also about like universities want people who are passionate and work hard. Like you need to seem passionate about your subject. Also, don't do a subject that you think is just going to make you a lot of money. That's the worst thing you could do.
No, that's the best thing to do. Don't do art.
Listen, I was gonna do law.
Oh my god! If you love art, do art. Don't listen to me.
No, don't do art.
I was gonna do law, and then I did. I don't know when I shadowed a LSE law student actually, and it put me off. So
yeah, so I'd say definitely do your research, so you know if this is definitely what you want to do.
But
Because
the thing
a
is,
lot
if you're in mine and Muheez's year and Inzinga's like you've just finished year 13, then you do need to start researching industries because applications are literally
before
open.
that, because like I say, for example, even my personal experience, because like for example, me, I initially wanted to start off doing engineering, but throughout quarantine, I decided to do some research, and I realized I don't even like this stuff. Like, I don't even know what this is. Like, this is not me. So then I started to look, and I found out like I preferred like economics or maths side of things. So I looked into that. So most definitely, because obviously for year 13 particularly, you're now getting into the stage where you're going to start looking for unis to go into. Make sure you research your course and if there's actually something you want to do, because you're gonna, let's say if you're away from home, you don't want to be away from home miserable and not like your course. You want to at least like your course, because at least it'll give you more motivation and ambition to do well. I'd say also advice for people that have now got their grades. So let's say for example, anybody maybe that hasn't gone into a Russell University or they've gone into a Russell, where do you go from here? How do you allow yourself to get onto the same level of maybe top 10 uni students, or what do you need to do to get into the top firms or top like places in your
I would personally redo a year. Like if you've not done well, like you say you've got a D or E or lower than that, I don't even know it's lower. I would personally, no, this is genuine advice. Like if this is me on results day, if I'd got a B on results day, I'd be redoing the year because I wouldn't be able to get
like, but that's slightly different because law firms have entry requirements. So that's
exactly that.
Law,
but that's the thing. Say you wanted to do banking. And MMU or another non-Russell group unis let you in, you're thinking, oh, that's calm, I've still got into uni. When you come to try and apply to top investment banks and you see that you need ABB or AAB, at least a A-level requirement, you're going to be like, my God, why didn't I just take 1 year out to resit, do that one subject I did badly in, get like an A or a B in it, do really well, and then just apply to even better universities. So this year, if you've done really badly, and you've
but I'd argue that to some extent though, because I don't feel necessarily you have to, because
there's nothing wrong with redoing a year though. Like if you
sorry, not
Sabrina,
not
can I put in a little bit there?
go.
Everyone hates me.
First of all, don't be so dramatic. A non-Russell group uni is not the end of the world. Might call me a hypocrite because I am going to a Russell group, but I personally don't think it's the end of the world. Do I think that in some industries Russell Group graduates are overrepresented? Yes. I mean, you could say the most elitist industries would be law, investment banking, and consulting. Not all industries are that.
Oh, she logged out. Oh, pain. You know what?
It's not about the name brand. It's about what.
Oh, it's not about what you do. That's what she's gonna say. It's not about what
you do. A year if you haven't done well. It's not that serious. Take that 1 year out.
I think personally, I feel like it depends on your research in it. Like I feel like because through like my own research and stuff, like for example, I'm not damn she out. But yeah, like I say for my own personal research, like I'm not going to a Russell uni, but through research and finding out like certain things, especially like from people that are working in top firms such as like Goldman Sachs or KPMG or something like that, it's not impossible to not go to a Russell group, because the thing is that even at some, because you could get into a Russell group, but your Russell group might just be shit. Do you know what I mean? Like it might not be a Russell group that, because obviously Russell group is I think top 20, but it may not be the best for your course or whatever. But what you need to do is that you need to make sure you're doing, because the thing is that what will define the difference between a Russell and non-Russell, or even not even Russell, top 10 Russell from the rest, is that they're going to be giving their kids not only maybe better education, but they're giving them more support, more things to keep them ahead.
It's not even just that, it's the level of marking. Like Russell Group unis have higher criteria to get a first or to get like high grades. It's just literally harder. That's why
I hear that.
they have more prestige.
Don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. I would never tell anyone to, if you aim for Russell,
aim for a top 10, not a top 100 uni.
Sorry guys, let me just go back to what I was saying before. I don't know what I missed, but my whole point was basically like work experience is much more important than the name brand. Like for example, you're doing law, so you're doing law at LSE. I don't really want to use law. Right, you're doing business at Warwick, and okay, so you graduate from Warwick with a, let's say 2-1, but no experience. Okay, But like you, another student maybe did business at MMU, graduated with a 2-1 or maybe even a first, and has like, you know, at least a year of work experience behind them. Who do you think looks more attractive? Like at the end of the day, yes, the name brand does hold a weight. It does open the door a little bit, but you've got it's not, it doesn't do everything for you. Like you need work experience. That's what they really care about.
You have to put in the work. And one thing to consider also is location. Like if the businesses you want to work for are located, I don't know, in Newcastle or in London maybe, then look at the universities around there. It just makes your life so much easier. Like say you had an interview the next day, you don't want to be thinking of waking up at 4 a.m. how to get there when you could just wake up and it'd be down the street or something like that. It's just all those small things you should consider. But if you are in our year now, just to finish my sentence, if you are in our year and you've done say really, really badly, it's not the end of the world. I personally would just take a year out to try and find work experience, to resit, to just take that one subject and to get a higher grade in it and then to apply to even better universities. Everything happens for a reason. So this year you might not have done well, so that next year you might end up at a university that's even better than the one you're planning on initially going to. But if you do want to just go with the flow, then go to a university, but understand that you'll have to work harder. So make sure you start preparing now, because spring week applications are open, including Goldman Sachs.
Spring. So, like for example, Sabrina been giving me a lot of support with like ways. What you say? Oh my!
Done. It's getting
so you need to, what's it called again? Look for insight days. So insight days is like tasting days in like particular firms that you potentially want to work in.
I think you need to get ahead though. Like
you need to be ahead. Yeah. So spring weeks or insight days, and they will help you get into internships at top firms. And if you get
internships, help you get jobs.
And that's all it needs, because you may not necessarily have to, as we were saying, like not get into Russell's on the end of the world, because if you're able to get into an internship at a high firm and they like you and they want to give you a job, you're fine. You may not even have to get a first class anymore. But not to say you shouldn't. Always aim high. Just be as ambitious as possible, and hopefully it works out for you.
Exactly. Yeah. Build up your CV now.
Yeah, build up your CV. Any work experience you can do in the firms that you want to work in. You know, look at YouTube. YouTube is an amazing source of information. Like it's free. There's so many people you can find from different walks of life. Start researching about what you want to do, because you know it's your life, and obviously it matters how important it will show how important it is to you if you want to put work in or not. But
you need to get LinkedIn as well.
Yeah, LinkedIn. But I think Raheem, you think it's
thank you guys for that advice. I think that's a lovely point to end the podcast on. So thank you to our guests Sabrina and Inzinga for coming. Very insightful. Well done on your results as well. I wish you both all the best. Well done muheez as well, I guess.
Good luck.
But yeah, thank you very much. Thank you guys for listening. He's been that guy muheez. I've been this guy Raheem. We've been them guys.